Though I prefer them hot.
Oh, noise.
Done. Out.
Last thing I needed to do
Muted. Forever.
is tweet. Which I can do because it's your half of the show, so you should do.
Oh, right. So we're streaming to both now.
We should be.
Why, hello. Welcome to Awesome Hardware. I just realized every one of our shows probably just starts with us, like, mid-conversation.
Yeah.
And then just an abrupt, hey! Whoa! Thanks for being here, guys. This is episode 166. You're watching Side A, which is currently being streamed to twitch.tv/awesomehardware, as well as my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Bitwit. In about a half hour, actually. I almost said an hour, but that's the old format. New format is in about half an hour, we'll switch over to Paul's channel, which is youtube.com/paulshardware. You can also find the link in my video description. This is about an hour-long live show now, and we tend to do an after party at the end of that, which is streamed to twitch.tv/awesomehardware as well, where we'll do some fun stuff today. We'll be doing some Pimp My PC. That's been reserved for the after party.
We're also going to stream the after party to YouTube too.
Oh,
it's just it won't stay up permanently.
That's right. It'll
be unlisted later.
As you can see, I myself am still acclimating.
We have to hide our shame with the after party because that's where the debauchery happens.
That's right.
That's when things get interesting.
Time to pregame. So thank you very much.
I tweeted, so I'm like caught up.
Wow.
I'm actually feeling, like the last hour has been like, all right, gotta do this and this and this and this and all the little things getting ready to show. And now I'm like, all right, I'm good.
I'm reminded of those like I voted pins, or it's just I tweeted. We should have some I tweeted pins.
We should have that.
And we'll wear them every time we tweet for the show, and whoever doesn't tweet for the show can't wear that pin.
Should make a phone that dispenses the sticker whenever you tweet.
We'll be talking about that exactly on my half of the show. No, we won't. Just trying to keep you guys engaged. So we tend to sell stuff. We both have stores, which you should buy things from. My store is bitwit.tech.
Wait, I can do this. Okay.
Bitwit.tech has an assortment of high-profile merchandise for the modern geek.
All in shades of gray.
All in shades of gray and black,
also...
and there's like a maroon color every now and then. But these are the colors that I like to wear personally, and I always subscribe to the idea. If I like it, somebody else does too. So there's a bunch of good stuff here.
Good thinking.
You should buy one of everything. Paul also has a store, paulshardware.net.
Yes.
Also, same great quality stuff. And is your new design still in the works?
Still in the works. I need to follow up on that, and I have not.
Okay.
Been distracted.
But in the meantime, there's still a bunch of great things on Paul's store as well. If you happen to buy anything from either of our stores, we will give you a loud Johnson shout-out, which may make you feel accomplished and uncomfortable at the same time. It's a very hard thing to achieve.
That's how it makes me feel.
Thank you all in advance for supporting us in that way. You guys get something really cool in return. And let's see, what else should I say at the beginning of the show? Oh, we occasionally swear or we use adult language only when deemed necessary by either of us. So if that's an issue for you, if you have little ones around, you have been warned. We also like to have a drink or two on the show of the alcoholic
Newcastle
variety.
Brown Ale.
Yes, it is.
From merry old England.
Good old England. I didn't have a single Newcastle, I think, when we went to England.
Although it's brewed and bottled by HBBV Amsterdam, Holland.
I didn't know that.
And it's imported by Newcastle importers from White Plains, New York. So I don't know what they're trying to pull with Newcastle Brown Ale. Actually, it says brewed in Holland on the front. Why do I think Newcastle was from England?
Right.
Why have I've had that impression for forever,
I thought that
right?
too.
Didn't you also think that?
Well,
Is it just...
No, isn't it an English ale, but that's just brewed elsewhere?
That could be.
It's an England brown ale. A New England brown ale? England has to be involved somehow, right? England.
The recipe in Newcastle upon Tyne, England, and that's where the name comes from. All right, so that didn't come from nowhere.
Yeah.
But all right, so we've learned something already on today's show.
Yes, and they're clearly not hiding anything. They advertise it that is brewed in Holland. We don't have to create a conspiracy video around this. What was the other thing? There was another thing. We have additional beer from our good friend Joe. Also, Paul's editor. And compadre.
We're gonna crack this up. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm done with my beer. Slacker.
We got this directly from the Stone Brewery.
If only you could open it with some high quality apparatus.
You mean this Paul's Hardware bottle opener available on paulshardware.net?
Boy, that's exactly what I mean, Paul.
All right, we're good at product placement.
Absolutely. So thank
That
you,
was
Joe.
so easy.
Thank you, Joe, for that beer. Thank you,
The
Paul,
stone
for the opening ceremonial opening.
Chocobesa, I believe.
Chocobesa.
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 Imperial Stout, inspired by Mexican hot
That
chocolate.
was Italian.
Stout brewed with chocolate, coffee, pasilla peppers, vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg.
Ooh, 8.1%.
8.1%.
Do not take this beer lightly.
Should pour it into this
really
Paul's
dark as
Hardware glass. Okay, sorry. What are we talking about first?
Let's talk about our first segment here, which is news. Tech news. Getting right into the nitty gritty. Let's start off with one of the hotter topics today, which is the RTX 2070 embargo just lifted for all the reviews.
Yay.
This is exactly the tone of the yay.
Grab the Gaming Z over there.
Oh yes, we can show these now.
Yeah, I said Gaming Z.
This is the so these are both 2070s,
That's not
correct?
the gaming. That's the gaming.
Okay.
These are both 2070s.
I'm sorry, Paul. I have not seen any 2070s yet. For some reason, my samples did not arrive.
That's odd.
Maybe my
What's going on, Kyle?
I don't know. Someone stole.
Have you been blacklisted?
I think I have.
Did you say something to offend Jensen? Did Lyle say something to offend Jensen, and they think it was you? And he's actually like, is he becoming more trouble than he's worth? Like that's been my concern.
Yes to all of those
But-
questions, perhaps.
Anyway, 2070s though. There's a lot of reviews out. I did a review on the 2070s.
Paul did. Why don't we talk about that actually?
Okay.
There is the mega thread that that Paul has brought up, or that he did have brought up earlier.
If I press the button, they can see it.
If you press the button, there's the mega thread. Paul has also been added to this list, so you guys should check out Paul's video.
It's on the hardware subreddit.
It's on the hardware subreddit. And Paul, your TLDR, according to this Reddit post and stuff, and actually a comment that you're actually at the top. You're the top comment on this thread.
That's if you sort by best, because it's the best.
It is the best comment.
It is the
it's
best one.
Irrefutable. You said that the $500 version that you found, which I would imagine was a kind of a blower style cooler.
No, that's the two cards I have.
Oh, the two cards.
The one you're
okay.
holding.
Well, that's actually pretty cool. That
Right there.
at least you get $4.99. You still get a kind of like more upscale type of cooler, not just an enclosed crappy blower fan design. You said it was 3% faster than a manufacturer's factory overclocked GTX 1080. 3%. It's pretty marginal.
EVGA for the win 2, to be specific.
Okay, and then the $600 model, which was the more amped up version that you got over there. The $600 version
Our Gaming Z here.
was 10% faster than that GTX 1080.
It's
That
really
EVGA
cool
GTX
backplate.
1080.
I actually really like the backplate on this.
So $600, the $600 version
Yeah, but
was
it's
10%
$600
faster.
bucks.
And the 1080, that EVGA 1080 could be had for what, maybe less than 500-ish?
If you want that specific one, you might have to pay a little bit more, but to get one that's in that either
Get
ships at
within-
the same clock speed or can be overclocked to the same clock speed easily.
For around 500 easy.
Yeah, 500 is fair to say.
Okay,
For
so
that.
marginal return seems like the price performance of your RTX 2070s that you tested against those competing cards was not wasn't the greatest bang for the buck. What certainly wasn't the type of bang for the buck that we've seen with previous XX70 SKUs from Nvidia. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, with the price being
What
way,
it is.
way more,
Sure.
the value, the amount you get for your dollar goes down.
Right. The 970 and the 1070, those were all like the great bang for the buck cards when they launched.
Yeah, and they've always been the cards you get excited about.
Sure.
And it's like,
Middle
so
of the road.
if you look at, and I haven't looked at this recently, but I'm pretty sure it's still the same. Most people who build gaming PCs are spending $200 to $300 on their graphics card. I don't know if that's shifted much over the years. That information might be a few years old, but I think it's still roughly accurate. So that you're talking like your RX 580s and your GTX 1060s. But the next step up, if you can get to it and jump up from paying about $250 to like $350 or $400, like to get to that 1070, it was a really nice jump up in performance, and you could still look at the performance compared to the price you're paying and say, yeah, you're still getting like an equivalent. You know, it's not like you're paying a bunch more for that added performance. So,
Right.
but now you can't say that because the 2070s cost $500 theoretically dollars or $600, and that's yeah. I mean, the cool things, I guess, if you want to say that about it, are that there was a fair amount of overclocking headroom. The power draw on them was pretty reasonable too. There was an actual decent drop off from the power draw of like the 2080.
Did you test
so they're a little bit more efficient?
Did you test overclock and stock performance with your
Well,
review?
I tested the $500 one, and the $500 cards ship at the base frequencies, the base and boost frequency that NVIDIA requires. And so all of the $500 cards will ship at that same base and boost frequency.
Is that considered reference speeds?
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of considered your reference or your entry level speeds, so to speak. And then there's the Founders Edition, which will ship overclocked, which is $600, and then there's manufacturer overclocked versions that we will also have, which we can assume are going to cost maybe $550 to, I don't know, probably still $600 and maybe $650 as well, until you start blurring the lines with the 2080. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, for the cheapest ones, for the $500 ones, the question is how well those will overclock, because there's supposed to be an actual different SKU on the GPU itself, and that's what I haven't done yet, is disassemble these cards and look at that. And it's gonna. My question is, can we get a bunch of people to test their $500 versions of the cards, verify if they're like that Dash A version of the TU-106,
right?
And are those all really bad at overclocking? Like, are you actually getting a significantly worse card when you spend that $500 rather than spending the $600 because it overclocks crappily or something? I don't think that'll be the case. I think they'll overclock just fine. I think they're just doing that in order to segment the GPUs so that there is a actual fixed $500 set of cards that will sell for that amount that can't be sold for another amount. Which, if you want to look silver lining at this at like the high prices they're charging, because I think the prices are really high and they haven't made this competitive or an exciting product. But if you want to look silver lining, that could be looked at as something that they're doing to try to ensure that there are $500 cards available in bulk in the market that people can actually buy this card for. That question can't be answered till probably tomorrow, though. Tomorrow and the coming weeks leading up to the holidays, because that's when we'll be able to look at stock and look at Newegg and Amazon and wherever else and say, yes, it's in stock, I can buy it right now. Because that's what's going to make the difference. Right now there's a bunch of skepticism about that, and that skepticism has also been pointed at NVIDIA, because NVIDIA has this weird requirement with these benchmarks, or with these initial benchmark review videos, that anyone who's sampled cards has to be sampled that $500 version. So it's like, and all of this is like, feels like sort of a weird bit of coordination they're doing, like to and like, it's not even like it's that deceptive, because it's like they're trying to make sure that a $500 card is there for $500 that ships at a certain frequency that's commensurate with its price. But the reason it feels like twisted and like they're trying to kind of shoehorn this in there, I think, is just because of what they're doing with the Founders Edition and what they started doing with the Founders Edition with the 10 series, which was creating a Founders Edition that's like a higher end card. They wanted the NVIDIA card to be like the nice expensive one, not like the NVIDIA reference design to be the basic entry level one.
Right.
And then all the third party add-in board manufacturers make their more special versions.
Yeah.
But NVIDIA deciding to take that route and say our cards are going to be like among the best available that have that GPU, suddenly like that takes so much away from the add-in board manufacturers, and it leads it leads to an awkward situation and a weird pricing thing where they try to say, oh, the entry level price is this, but then none of the cards are available for that price.
Right.
So we'll see how it turns out. If the upshot, I think, ultimately is that you can buy a $500 RTX 2070 and that's what they want to sell it for, and enough people see that it has a reasonable amount of value, and that's what I think what a lot of the benchmark reviews have shown today. They've been skeptical because of the price, but they've also shown that it's right up there with the 1080, and you know, it theoretically does have some extra bells and whistles that also we can't test yet and verify.
Right.
But if you're gonna buy a 1080 for $500, you might as well get the 2070 if it's still available. And I don't know. I guess that's the end of the story. Okay, we should probably
and potentially with like driver optimizations in the future. I mean, maybe Turing has a bit further to go, has a bit more to grow. than Pascal at this point. Whereas Pascal seems like its days are numbered in terms of like driver optimizations and how much more performance can be gained with future driver updates and game development and stuff like that. Whereas Turing maybe has a bit more potential in that area. But that's great. Everyone should go watch Paul's video if you haven't yet.
Yeah, watch my video.
It should be linked in.
I was up till 2 a.m. last night.
Jesus, it's worth it. There's some good data mining in there. All right, moving on here. AMD has listed their Radeon RX 580 on the Chinese market, but now it has less stream processors than before. So
good.
what's going on here? WCCF Tech, they've reported that AnandTech was the first who caught it on AMD China. So this could be right now only in the Chinese market, but it could potentially branch out to the European market, the American market. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But this newly announced RX 580 is its official name, at least in China right now, is the RX 580 2048 SP, which stands for 2048 stream processors.
Oh, yeah.
That's the legitimate official name of this card. First of all, that's terrible marketing, because who's going to remember that? But also it indicates that this GPU has significantly fewer stream processors than the original RX 580, yet it's still called the RX 580. In fact, it has the exact same number of stream processors as an RX 570. It should really be called like
That why don't
an RX 570 plus.
Just call it an RX 570.
Why don't they? Because that's not as sexy, Paul. They don't sell as many units, and people won't think it's as powerful. It's better to oversell and underdeliver. Is the mantra that I'm getting from this campaign here. Still the
So what this is in China though? Like
this is Chinese market right now. It has not crossed over to any other market as far as we know. But we still care about our Chinese viewers, don't we? Anyone who lives in China?
Yeah.
There are billions of people there.
why we also dual stream to Baidu, or where? No, we don't.
Is that the name of the Chinese Twitch?
Oh no, that's like Chinese Google.
Oh, China. Yeah, that's right.
I don't know.
We're probably banned.
Something owned by Tencent. We probably
No, our show's probably banned in China. Actually,
well, Twitch and YouTube are blocked in China. So
there you go. So anyway, this is something to be aware of if you're in the market for any graphics card right now. It still has the original RX 580's 8 gigs of GDDR5 memory on a 256-bit bus. That's all fine and gravy, but calling it an RX 570 is just plain misleading. And I would be shocked if Gamers Nexus didn't release a video about this. If they haven't already, that I just haven't noticed. Because this reeks, the story reeks of the GT 1030 DDR4 model that came out sort of recently, that Gamers Nexus also tore a new one into NVIDIA over, because that was also very misleading.
I think
from the way that it was marketed.
I think this is just natural,
Shitty.
perfectly normal. Been done many times before.
No.
I used to play World of Warcraft on a GTX 260 Core 216, which was the
Core
special
216.
Yes. But that was
cores?
actually made it better. Yeah, 216 CUDA cores. I believe the original GTX 260 had like 192, and then they came out with a version that was a Core 216 that gave you a little bit more. But yeah, if anyone's wondering what I'm doing with my hand down here, I'm petting Hero.
Or are you?
He's nervous because his mommy's not home yet, so he's trying to cuddle up against.
Paul only he only owns dogs as a cover, so that when he masturbates on stream, he has a scapegoat.
Never happened to my
only twice
to my knowledge.
You're doing it unconsciously one time. I don't know. Okay. So yeah, I think this is like, I don't want to say false advertising. It's misleading. It's very misleading.
Yeah. And
it should have been called something else. RX 570 Plus or RX 575. I don't care what you name it, but not everyone's going to know that an RX 580 2048 SP indicates that it has fewer stream processors and is going to replicate RX 570 performance a lot closer than it will RX 580. I think
Yeah, it's
If you run benchmarks and the data shows that it's closer to a card that's of a different name, it should be called, the name should be closer to that name. It shouldn't be called named after the card that it's further away from performance-wise. That's just this is common sense.
I do want to point out, like, this is, I agree, this is a stupid thing for AMD to do. They're doing something with rebranding or trying to, I don't know if it's something for that market. It would be interesting to get some statement directly from them. This is from Linus, though. He actually posted this on the Linus Tech Tips forum specifically about
What did Linus
this.
have to say?
Well, because he's talking about if it's happened before, and he said the first time he got screwed over by AMD, although it was ATI at that point, and I think this was when he was still working with NCIX, and their loosey-goosey guidelines with respect to the branding of their GPUs was on a Radeon 9600. This appears to be a particularly egregious example of this behavior. But this bullshit has been happening for years and likely will never stop.
I am perfectly... I agree with that statement, that they're doing it because it works to some degree. And no amount of tech YouTubers bickering about it is going to, halt the number of sales that they get over these cards. They do it because it works.
I mean,
they're not going to stop.
If people complain and they catch wind that people are complaining and it becomes a PR issue, then it might be something they take into consideration next time they're like, hey, we have a bunch of like GPU dies that we can't quite make into RX 580s. What should we do with them? And like, let's deciding how to name the product. Like they could do it in a way that was a little less deceptive. Make a special version of the 570 if it does have something that makes it a little bit better than the 570, and then you're getting something better if you accidentally buy it versus something worse. Maybe if anyone from AMD is watching, maybe that's something they should do. But I don't know if anyone from AMD watches this show.
Probably.
All right.
I hope so.
Next up.
Let's move on. Cooler Master. This is an article from Hex. Says Cooler Master has launched their control pad via Kickstarter. Yet another brand in the PC space that has taken to crowdfunding, in order to potentially fund a passion project. And this is definitely a passion project. What this is an analog controller, mainly for your left hand, or I guess it could be for your right hand. But it's got the WASD there. It's a 24 key set. It's got RGB, of course. But the big point here is that it's analog. So this is great. This very much is reminiscent of the Wooting 1. The Wooting 1, which was one of the first, if not the first, analog mechanical keyboards on the market. So most mechanical keyboards these days are digital, whereas when you press the keyboard down, it's a 1 or a 0. It's on or off. There's no gradient. It is all or nothing, so to speak. And so that can make it very difficult if you're trying to play a game and you're looking for granular control. They used, I really like the fact that they used Super Hot for this demo because it perfectly demonstrates how analog control can be very useful. Because as you move about in the game, the amount of speed that you use in the game, no matter how fast depending on how fast you move in the game, it determines how much time goes by.
And you can move really slow by pressing the key just a little.
Yeah, and so like if you wanted to move very slow to give you that sort of edge on a regular digital, mechanical keyboard, you would have to just tap it all, like left and right and stuff until you actually got that to get that sort of incremental stepping. But with this little device here, you can just sort of like press the key down slightly, and depending on how far down your travel is, that determines the amount of response in game. So it's a neat little demo that I think proves very effective. Why there might be an interest in a product like this, and the numbers are definitely indicative of that. This has already raised over $50,000. You
said dick.
I said dick. I said dick. I told you there was going to be foul language on the show. How'd your kids? How'd your wife? There is. It's already been met. It's $50,000 goal, which is pretty reasonable, I think, for a product like this. Has already been smashed. Last I checked earlier today was at 56K. That's not too bad. It's still got 39 days to go. So I can see this either doubling or even tripling its goal. This, if all goes smoothly, it definitely seems like this is a product that people are in demand of.
Currently at 56,391.
Almost 700 backers, 40 days to go. They're smooth sailing here. So I think it's a cool little gadget. I personally don't have time to play games enough to be like, yes, I need this in my life, but I could definitely see a bunch of hardcore gamers, or gamers that are more dedicated than I am to the game, be very interested in something like this. So.
I don't have time for your games either, Kyle.
Oh, well, see, well, if you weren't so busy making all these awesome play on words and puns, maybe you would, Paul.
Maybe if you just listen from time to time and talking.
Jesus Christ.
We can talk about this later.
All right, moving on. We've got an article from videocards.com. This is in regards to an RX 590 that was spotted on the 3D Mark database.
Oh.
So sometimes people run benchmarks on 3D Mark and they forget to disconnect their internet, and so the scores get automatically uploaded to the database, and it's for everyone to see. Everyone to see.
This just says generic VGA though.
It does say generic VGA. Maybe not much is known about the RX 590 right now. There are many rumors, very little information, very little hard, concrete evidence. But right now, many people believe that the RX 590 is going to feature the Polaris architecture, which makes sense, except on the 12nm fabrication node, which would improve the performance and the power efficiency of over the RX 580 or the RX 480, for example. But you could imagine that this is still a long way off from anything of the Turing architecture. Probably wouldn't compete in that high-end space. Maybe with an RX 2060 or something like that.
Loves me a Polaris refresh.
So there's no change to the 2000 megahertz memory clock. It's likely still GDDR5 based. Rumors are estimating that there's going to be about a 10% performance improvement over the RX 480. Compared to the RX 590's graphics score of 4759.
Anyone in chat who's saying the stream is dead, the stream is not dead.
You're dead.
The stream.
You're dead, haha.
Although you probably can't see this if you think yours. Never mind.
This is a message to no one. Video Cards' factory overclocked RX 580 Power Color Red Devil that they tested scored 4,399 points in the graphics score and 4,639 while overclocked, whereas this RX 590 is showing a graphics score of slightly over that of 4,759, about 10% faster. So RX 590, this could be legit, this could be fake, we don't know, but rumors are speculating that an RX 590 is imminent. So.
There has been a lot of scuttlebutt.
A lot of scuttlebutt.
Many scuttlebutts.
Hella scuttlebutt in the house. I hear whimpering. Is everything okay?
Yeah, he's just...
Hero.
Let me see if he needs to go out or something.
Maybe he's got to pee.
You can talk about this, right?
I will
talk about this.
The shit out of that story.
All right.
Because there's a lot to cover here. So, Motherboard recently released an article that talks about the Pentagon and how its weapon systems are very, very easily hacked with basic tools. This is actually a terrifying read. As I went about it, I just got more and more paranoid that something terrible is going to happen because of just how incompetent the Pentagon is and how unaware they are of cyber attacks. Cybersecurity, it seems like a non-issue to them. It's like not even something that they even think about. And a lot of their weapon systems are connected to the internet in many ways. One of their like an F-35's pilot helmet, just the pilot's helmet, just the helmet alone, connects to a complicated data feed from various outside systems that can be easily hacked with very basic methods. You don't even need to be like a good hacker to hack these guys. I shouldn't be even sharing this with you guys. The Government Accountability Office, the GAO, found mission-critical cyber vulnerabilities in nearly all weapon systems that were under development. This is insane. Much of the Pentagon's weapon systems, or I already said that, is connected to the internet. The GAO report suggests that Pentagon has done a terrible job of accounting for these vulnerabilities. The Pentagon didn't even change the default passwords on multiple weapon systems using commercial or open source software. So they have weapon systems that, they got off of GitHub hypothetically.
What?
And
Are you serious?
no. Just it said open source. That's the first place my mind went. But they didn't change the default password. They're treating cutting edge military tech like a lazy person treats their router. Let's just use the default.
YouTube is actually jacked right now.
Oh shit. Well, that's YouTube's fault. If you can't see the stream, we absolve all responsibility.
It says we're still streaming to it.
Yeah, XSplit never lies. If it says that we're good, no frames
I'm
drop.
gonna assume that YouTube is having a problem restreaming or rebroadcasting, and that it's still actually and that we're still streaming to YouTube.
Everyone make sure to click that sad face sign.
I believe. Everyone has to believe along with us, though, that that's actually what's happening.
What is this, the dinner scene in Hook?
Yeah.
Just believe.
It's the power of positive thinking, Kyle.
Believe, Peter. It's bullshit. It's bullshit, I tell you. So, this is... It just gets worse. It just gets worse here. One test report indicated that the test team was able to guess. They were able to guess an administrator password in 9 seconds. Like, probably like the name of their dog with the number 1. Like, that was one of the passwords to, like, fire nuclear warhead missiles or something.
So
it's insane. It's been shockingly easy for the GAO's team to hack into the Pentagon's weapon systems and take complete control. The lead author of the report, Christina Chaplin, said in one case it took a 2-person test team just 1 hour to gain initial access to a weapon system and 1 day to gain full control of the system they were testing. Another team easily took control of the operator's terminal for an unspecified weapon system and watched in real time as the operators responded to the hackers' disruptions. Another test team reported that they caused a pop-up message to appear on the user's terminals, instructing them to insert 2 quarters to continue operation. Like it's a freaking arcade game. So they're just totally trolling. They're able to like do these like little hacks and actually take full control and completely throw off the Pentagon systems with very little effort. Multiple test teams reported that they were able to copy, change, or delete system data, including one team that downloaded 100 gigabytes. If you just like you just watch a YouTube video on how to hack, you could get like 100 gigabytes of data from the Pentagon right now. The GAO has been warning the Pentagon about these backdoors in their weapon systems for years, dated back to 1997. But very little action has been taken on behalf of the Pentagon to fix these issues. Chaplin said that people look at weapons and they think that they're automatically very different than their own home computers or their business networks, and they're not. There's a lot in common. There's a large Venn diagram. There's a big portion in the center there. She said she concluded by saying it looks very grim unless they see this as a wake-up call. So. Maybe we should have saved this for like an "Oh Joy" segment because I feel like that fits right in.
Yeah, this is very
daunting.
Is there any? What can we do to help, Kyle?
We can move.
Oh, all right.
We can move to a different country, Paul.
That's always a good solution.
So there is a happy ending to all that. Just leave America immediately.
Stalwart defenders.
Let's move on to a slightly less
truth and goodness,
less heavy and daunting story, which will conclude tech news for today. At least on my half, the Nintendo 64 Classic, the console, has leaked some pictures on the web. Are they legit?
What are we doing now? Is this a new segment?
We're trying to forget about our impending doom based on the Pentagon's incompetence. This is an article from overclock3d.net.
Games. 3
images of the rumored N64 Classic have leaked, and it shows the same controller ports that we've seen on the NES and SNES Classic. Seems legit so far. And a similar port cover. If you scroll down, there might be some more pictures. A similar port cover that we've also seen on the SNES Classic Mini, although... these are fake ports, and it comes out to actually insert the real controllers because it's an emulator and stuff. But people are saying that that's coming out too far. It's a lot further. It comes out a lot further in this picture than the SNES Classic. So people are speculating that that's why it's fake. It must be fake in that sense because it's way too flimsy. That's way too flimsy. It's a design flaw, and it's too flimsy and fragile to be legit. These must be faked. But I tell you,
that makes sense.
That there have been there's been several design flaws or just design quirks with the last the existing classic consoles. For example, the controller cables for the SNES and the NES classic consoles were just way too short. Way too short. And I feel like that's something else that if you saw a picture, a leaked image of like a controller and it was like a 3 or 4 foot cable, a lot of people would say, well, it's got to be fake because that cable's way too short. For like Nintendo wouldn't actually come to market with such a design flaw. But no, never underestimate the I don't know, poor engineering of Nintendo. I don't know what it could be chalked up to. But at any rate, we don't know if this is legit or not. That's the whole point. One thing is for sure, though, the N64 Classic, if it is going to come, is going to require quite a bit more hardware and processing power than its predecessors. Simply because the graphics on N64 titles is just it's a completely different.
That's true.
League. It's a completely different league than those 8-bit or 16-bit. Two-dimensional games. So
how many bits did the Nintendo 64 have?
64, I would imagine. Maybe 63.
Yes, that's correct. 64.
You almost got me on that. I was like, oh no, tech question, pressure. The pressure's on. So it's definitely going to be a challenge to create this classic console, and a lot of people are saying that this is where it ends for the standalone consoles, emulators for the classic series. There's no way that Nintendo could make a GameCube emulator because it would just be too.
Because they're cowards.
Because they're bitches. Yeah, we're calling you out, Nintendo, because we secretly want you to make a GameCube emulator. That'd be awesome.
If they were a real game company, they would do it. But
yeah,
they're a bunch of wusses.
Xbox and PlayStation, the Sony and Microsoft, they're gonna come out with emulators for their PS4. What are we on now? PS4? 5?
I'm not a console pleb, Kyle. I don't follow that kind of.
That's why I'm asking, because I have no idea either.
PS4, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I just want to update the viewers at home who are watching on Twitch.
Update them.
Twitch, the strong, good live streaming service, which is still working right now.
Yes.
According to XSplit, we are still streaming to YouTube with 0 drop frames.
Woo!
So, sorry the dogs are going to make some noise for a brief moment here.
Damn dags.
I made it quiet. I turned the volume down.
Okay.
I guess YouTube is down completely. I was refreshing and this is what I was getting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if mine's that way too. Okay. Yeah, mine's the same. My YouTube's not working either.
Go, that's good.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, just hop over Twitch.
Okay. Just a brief
Keep on
moment.
barking. Keep on barking.
Just a moment.
Keep on barking. Damn.
Whoa. Whoa.
I think your wife's murdering them.
Whoa.
She's killing them.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, discipline
Sorry.
your children.
Okay. Okay, we're coming back.
They'll get beat later.
Wow, they were very freaked out about that.
Apparently.
Okay, sorry about that, guys.
They hate your wife. Jesus.
I turned the volume down to spare your ears from the barking dogs. Okay.
Works. So be on the lookout for the real N64 Classic when it may surface.
Looking forward to
it. Let's sponsor spot. Sponsor spot. Thank you very much to Toshiba for sponsoring this episode of Awesome Hardware.
Here it is.
We have some SSDs to talk about. Toshiba makes some amazing products.
Look at this SSD.
Very cost effective.
Hold it right side up.
We're professionals. This is the RC100. It is an M.2 SSD. It's a much smaller SSD. It's a mini. We've shown this one off several times now. It's using their BICS. BICS, I like to call it BICS. Their BICS Flash, NAND Flash, which is their own in-house memory, which is it gets very good speeds. Maybe not like cream of the crop, top of the line, but you're not paying top of the line price for this either. So
price and performance, Kyle.
The price to performance is superior to most drives that you find on the market, and it's more than enough. It's more than enough for the vast majority of users, unless you're doing some really heavy, you know, something that really needs the crazy reads and writes. These are plenty. What do you have there, Paul?
I have the OCZ TR200.
It's a great one too.
Which is totally not just an empty box. It's the SSDs in here.
We have physical products here.
But this is their 2.5-inch SSD. Also uses BICS flash memory.
M.2 over here.
They also have an external SSD. All those are linked in the video description, right, Kyle?
They sure will be.
They sure will be very soon. So click on those links.
Do it.
And check out these fine SSD products from Toshiba.
Yep.
And thank you, Toshiba, for sponsoring awesome hardware.
We love you.
Give me that back. This one, I thought you were going to take it out of the box.
Oh. Yeah, you should.
Why didn't you do that?
I was just, I don't know. I actually wasn't sure if you had one in there.
No, it is. It's in here.
Yeah, this is a tiny SSD.
This one's just fun because it's so small.
22 by 42? 2242?
2242.
Yeah. So much shorter than your typical M.2.
Yeah. It's 480 gig.
Like.
480 gig little SSD.
Very cute.
And it's like 1200 megabytes per second reads and 1200 megabytes per second writes, something in that range.
It's pretty solid.
Don't quote me on that as we advertise this product.
Pretty solid.
But yeah, it's over 1,000 on both reads and writes. Okay.
More than enough.
What's next?
Moving on, we've got hot and heavy hardware.
Oh, good.
But not just any hot and heavy hardware, Paul. This is the smartphone edition of hot and heavy hardware.
Hold on, I can do this.
Because people were just talking nonstop about smartphones earlier this week.
They were,
and it can't go ignored.
There we go.
Can't be ignored. We have to at least mention some of these hard-hitting flagships that were recently revealed. So starting with the Pixel 3 and the Pixel 3 XL from Google, of course. This article is from Hot Hardware. And
that's a good source for hot and heavy hardware segment.
You're damn right it is. I was totally thinking about that when I picked this article. This is a very long review. It's very thorough and good review. You should all read it thoroughly. But I am just going to do the TLDR here because I did what a lot of people do and just scroll to the very last page. And basically, they're recommending it. It got its hot and hardware
500
hot
internal
hardware
server. So this is
recommended award.
This is what's going on with YouTube right now, by the way.
Ooh, is that an embedded video?
I believe this would have been an embedded video, but
yeah.
YouTube is
taking a shit.
having some issues right now.
YouTube's shitting. Shitting
I'd
all
be
over
very
the place.
curious what this video turns out to be, because it still says we're streaming live to YouTube with 0 drop frames.
It's ridiculous. Rest in peace, YouTube, and Twitch Master Race, I think, is a lesson to be learned here. So, the specs, what Hot Hardware found about these phones is that the specs are not the most impressive compared to their other competitors' flagships. It only has 4 gigs of RAM, for example, no expandable local storage, and only a 12.2 megapixel camera on the rear. But the experience, the user experience, has been proven to be fantastic. It's got excellent battery life, highly competitive, and one of the best smartphone cameras on the market, bar none.
I thought they just used the camera from the Pixel 2.
That would still be one of the best cameras on the market, bar none. That is an amazing camera. It still has the same Snapdragon 845 processor that a lot of other flagships have, so I guess it's equal on that front. And it's got the added benefit of having clean Android installations that'll get updated before virtually every other smartphone, because you are rocking vanilla Android here, people. No shitty UI, no overlay.
This? What is that?
That is an egg. I'm not
sure. It's a dock. Okay, it's a charging dock.
Oh, okay. It's got a back.
It's like a Qi charger.
I'm not used to seeing docks with the back.
Okay.
So the build quality is top notch. Also has a notch.
It also has a top notch.
And the Google Pixel 3, if you want to know prices, $799 for the non-XL and $899 for the XL. 64 gigs. These are for the 64 gig models. Those are the pricing.
The XL has the notch. The non-XL does not.
I'm not a fan of the notch, I will say. Maybe it's something that I would get used to if I had a phone with a notch, but I personally despise it, and I would much rather have no notch. I don't care if I get a couple millimeters more space. I just think it looks weird.
Okay.
Any opinions on the notch? Notch to notch or not to notch?
If I had the option one way or another, I would go no notch.
It's because you're smart, Paul.
It is.
You've always been smart.
I'm very smart.
I agree with your smartness. So, guys, fire off in chat. Notch or no notch? Let's blow it up. I want to start a civil war in here. Moving on, though, while you guys debate about that, Huawei. Am I pronouncing that right? Huawei Mate 20 Pro. They're releasing their Mate 20 Pro, which is aimed to go after the big dogs like Samsung, Google, and Apple. This is an article from TechCrunch. The Mate 20 Pro, I have no idea what the hell's going on TechCrunch. The Mate 20 Pro has
technical difficulties.
Some impressive specs here. A Kirin 980 processor, 6 gigs of RAM, that's more than the Pixel 3, a 6.4-inch curved OLED screen at 3120 by 1440 resolution, 3 rear cameras. It's got an 8-megapixel telephoto camera and a 40-megapixel wide angle, and I think a 16-megapixel or 20-megapixel ultra lens. It's got an on-screen fingerprint sensor with facial recognition. You also get a 4,200 milliamp battery with wireless charging.
Oh, this is a 6-second GIF that's looping.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry.
I was like, wow, that's really was a lot of specs.
Like, why do they keep showing the camera over and over again?
So I think the coolest thing about this phone is that, well...
3D Live Object.
So you can do 3D Live Object, sure. That's probably not very useful. But it can wirelessly charge. Whoop-de-doo. So can a bunch of flagships. But you can wirelessly charge other flagship phones or other phones that support wireless charging. So if you...
Wait, what?
Yeah. You can put your friend's phone on your phone and charge your friend's phone with your phone.
That's a horrible feature. Why would you want to waste your battery charging someone else's battery?
Maybe your friend has 2% and you have 100%, and he's going off on a trip on his own, and you know he's about to leave you and take his Uber ride there, and he needs his phone to get him home for some reason. And you can do that wirelessly by just making your phones bump uglies. And
you shouldn't be friends with someone that irresponsible.
Maybe that's why it's called the Mate. You know, your phone mates with another phone and jizzes some of its juice into its partner.
No, that's kind of romantic.
Yeah, see, I knew I'd turn you around eventually. So, I mean, you guys, there's another fight. There's another fight that you guys can embark on in the chat. Is this a cool feature? Is it gimmicky? Have you ever wished that your phone could charge another phone? Some people carry two phones. Sometimes
I've done that before.
Our friend Steve, I know Steve carries two phones. He's got two numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure sometimes he's like, man, if only this phone was way more charged than this phone, and there was some way to make them mate.
You gotta have a safe phone.
Gotta have a safe phone. So there you go. And then the last phone we're talking about for hot and heavy hardware is the Razer Phone 2. Not the Razer Phone TOO, but the Razer Phone 2, number 2. This is the successor to the original Razer Phone. This is an article from Hexus once again.
No, for some reason this YouTube video won't play.
Oh, wow. How shocking that YouTube's not working right now.
We'll rely on the stills.
Yes. JPEGs for the win. This retains, the Razer Phone 2 retains the overall look of the original. You may not even notice the difference at first glance, but it makes some refinements nearly everywhere else, which is a good thing because there were a lot of problems with the original Razer Phone. They've smoothed out and rounded the edges, so it's a bit more comfortable in your hand. There's also a Razer logo on the back of the phone that you can see there that is Razer Chroma enabled, RGB, 16.8 million colors, or as I like to say, like 8 colors, really.
Kind of interested in this couple's backstory. Like, they look really, really cool.
I'm not interested in them at all.
Don't they look cool though?
Nope. They're let me guess. They're streamers. They're Twitch partners because they both have dyed hair. That's how you know if you're a Twitch streamer. If someone's a Twitch streamer or a partner.
Is that what Twitch?
Yeah, you gotta have like
some
funky like unorthodox colored hair.
We are streaming to Twitch,
but we're not Twitch partners.
Oh, that's true.
That is the difference between us.
But we could be now because YouTube is dead. So obviously we should look into that since.
Can we be partners
YouTube is,
on Twitch anytime YouTube's down?
What's funny is like there's still so many people in Twitch chat telling us that YouTube is down. I know YouTube is. Wow.
We get it, guys. We reach at once in a while. You know us. So at any rate, there's a lot going on here. You've got louder and better speakers. It's got Dolby Atmos, which I think is hilarious because that's not real Dolby Atmos. You've got a 5.7-inch IZGO screen that keeps the 120 hertz refresh rate that we saw in the last gen model. We've got it includes a 24-bit USB-C DAC, which is kind of cool if you're an audiophile or something like that. Now displays up to 50% brighter images than before with a wider color gamut. It's certified for it's actually officially certified for Netflix HDR, one of the few phones that is. Gorilla Glass 5, anti-fingerprint coating. It's 8.5 millimeters thin. Snapdragon 845, same CPU as the Google Pixel. And it's also got an Adreno 630 GPU, which isn't that crazy, but probably plenty for a phone, with vapor chamber cooling, similar to what they use in their laptops to reduce thermal throttling. 8 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs UFS storage, a SIM, and a micro SD slot. I like the SD slot, up to 1 terabyte. That's nice.
I do like that.
That is awesome. 4,000 milliamp LiPo, or lithium polymer battery, for 10 hours at 120 hertz refresh rate screen time. Improved rear dual camera with 12 megapixels, wide angle lens with optimal image stabilization. And Razer has obviously optimized this phone for games. They've worked hand in hand. They've worked with game developers on titles like PUBG Mobile and a bunch of other stuff, so that maybe it'll stand out in the gaming community as the phone of choice for hardcore gamers. You can also stream with the front-facing camera. That's kind of cool, which is an 8-megapixel camera. $799. Comes in mirror black and stain finishes. Pre-order today. Thoughts on the Razer phone, Paul? Any thoughts?
You're not supposed to recommend pre-ordering anything.
Okay, you have the option to pre-order today, but you should not. I clicked to myself. Would you ever consider buying a phone like this? Does this appeal to you in any way?
No, not particularly.
Okay.
Mainly because of it's a gaming phone. All right, there's some aspects of it, like the higher refresh rate thing. I guess is kind of interesting.
Cool.
But it's marketed as a gaming phone, and I never play games on my phone. I don't.
Right.
I'm not interested in it.
Yeah.
If I want to play a game, I want it to be
On a desktop
like
monitor.
a monitor or a TV. Like I just don't like.
Yeah. I only play like
game-
Plants vs.
gaming on my
Zombies, and
phone,
120 hertz isn't going to do shit in a game like that.
Yeah, like I
So.
have like a puzzle game that I in the most desperate of times when I'm super bored at an airport and I have nothing to do
Right.
and there's no internet connection for some reason that I might play. But yeah.
No, I'm kind of with you there. But if you are a hardcore mobile gamer, this ticks a lot of boxes. So, and $799, it's pretty cheap for Razer. For a Razer product,
It is?
I don't know. When you consider that the Google Pixel, not even the Pixel 3, not even the XL is $799, right? Yeah. Same price as the... No, I'm sorry. Yeah. Same price as the Pixel 3 non-XL. That's a lot cheaper than I thought it would be. Thinking Razer, I would be like, all right, $899, $1,000. But they know that they don't have a strong foothold in the phone market.
Yeah, they haven't made too many phones yet.
They haven't made too many phones. They don't have that reputation like Google or Apple does. So, of course, they got to stay competitive with the pricing. You guys let us know what you think. We'll be sure to not read it in chat. Let's move on to nothing, because that's the end of my half. So, yay, thanks, everyone, for being here. Timestamps down below. That'd be awesome. Love ya. And don't go anywhere, because we're about to stream the second half of this beautiful show on his channel, which can be found a link in the description below.
Maybe.
Or just stay... Right. Yeah. Maybe, because YouTube's taking a shit right now.
Honestly, YouTube is really, really bad right now. I don't even know if what we're streaming right now is still being picked up by YouTube.
Just go to Twitch.
So
go to twitch.tv/awesomehardware. If you're a Twitch hater, then just deal with it.
We'll see if I can go.
Yeah.
If not, we'll just do an after party on Twitch and wrap things up.
That'll be that.
I don't have anything important to talk about anyway. So.
Oh, I'm sure that's not true at all.
Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.